unlike people who live in KL who do not really know their neighbors or don't care about the neighbors. Those are people who live in KL. Okay, but those who are living outskirts of town or suburban, okay, in America, these are the people who still from M40 and above, but they wanted to live in a neighborhood area. They wanted to live in somewhere, an area whereby you have that community, sense of community. So those are people who living outskirts of town or suburban. Okay, that kind of people. Okay, so those are the characteristic of your demographic market. So that's why just now, without understanding who are those people living outside of town, you won't be able to answer your marketing channel. You won't be able to answer whether you wanted to use TikTok or you wanted to use word of mouth. Okay, so it is when you read the question, when you read the article, you need to understand what is the meaning of outskirt of town. Why it is important? Because it determines what kind of people, what the characteristic of people who live in that area. So why is that so important? Because it will determine on how do I reach these people. So that is the challenge. Okay, so when you read the article, you need to understand the terminologies of something like outskirt of town. What is that outskirt? Outskirt tu apa? Okay, so that is how you answer this question. Okay, Syamilin, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Because it's just that you are misguided. Meaning you did not know what is the meaning of outskirt of town. That's but your answer is quite right just now. Okay, just imagine that this Mipan is in Bangi. Okay, Syamilin, just imagine that it is Bangi. Awak tahu Bangi kat mana? Syamilin?
Tahu.
Okay, awak. Where do you stay right now?
Saya.
Where do you stay right now? Sekarang ni awak duduk kat mana?
Rawang.
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 Okay, Rawang is outskirt of town. Okay, so just imagine that you wanted to reach people in Rawang. So how can you use social media?
Huh?
Okay, let us. You are in Rawang, right? Betul. Okay, now just imagine that you wanted to target people in Rawang. Okay, so can you reach people in Rawang using social media?
Boleh. Sebab kalau tak bukan sahaja Rawang, Malah untuk semua. Macam tu. Macam lagi luaslah dia punya connection tu.
Okay, now.
Boleh tangkap?
Yeah, I understand. Now, basically kalau kat Rawang, who is your target market?
Orang Rawang, Sungai Buloh, Selayang.
Okay, what are the characteristic of people who living in that area?
Karakteristik contohnya macam dari segi
are they family or young family with young kids, or are they a bit old?
Family.
About the age.
So dia punya internet dia lambat lah, dia stuck.
Internet awak ke internet saya? Maybe internet saya. Okay, now what is the answer? So now what are the characteristics of people in Rawang? Is it young?
Family.
Okay, family, what kind of family? Is it young family with young kids? Or is it a bit older? Meaning anak-anak dah besar?
Older. Anak-anak dia dah besar. Lepas tu ada juga yang family semua juga. Dia campur-campur. Tapi
Okay.
kebanyakannya older lah.
Okay, now,
Dia dah besar.
so if that the case, who will be your main target market? Who is most probably
Anak-anak
to
dia.
buy your ice cream?
Anak-anak mereka. Anak dia orang.
Okay. So social media, is it efficient or is it the best way to reach this target market?
Saya rasa ya.
Alright. Okay. So that is how you mold your answer. Your craft your answer is like that because if they ask you whether to use social media, then say if so how, if not why not. So basically in exam they will not ask this because this question basically giving you a guide on how to answer, on the process on how to answer your question. Dia kalau dekat exam dia just kata will Nipan be able to use social media in his marketing communication effort, full stop. Okay, but the next question, if so how, if not why not, basically that the preceding question giving you a guide on how to answer that question. Dia tanya awak boleh ke, kalau tak boleh kenapa. So basically dia bagi awak guide untuk kenapa awak gunakan social media tu, boleh tak boleh. Okay, then to know whether boleh tak boleh guna social media, then you look at all those characteristics. What are your target market? Okay, Syamili? Alright, cool. Okay, any question? Ada soalan tak on the case study? Any question? Tak ada? No question? Alright, if no question, then we go to the next chapter, which is the impact of media advertisement on consumer behavior. Sorry. IMC process. Okay, you look at week number 2, research in advertising and promotion, and then you click at IMC process. Dapat tak? Week 2. I think number 3 from the bottom. IMC process. Got it?
Yang PDF tu kan?
Yes.
16 page.
The IMC planning process. Dapat ke? So the IMC planning process, segmentation, positioning, marketing, communication, objective, budgets, and market analysis. Dapat?
Dapat, sir.
Alright, cool. Okay, so that is the first slide. The second slide, the MC planning process, identifying potential target markets and positioning strategies. So now, this topic is actually surrounding on the issues of target market. Okay, on how for you to identify your target market and how are you going to position your brand towards in the mind of the consumer of your target market. Okay, so as you can see, advertisement is all about your target market, because what influence your advertisement, what influence whether you're going to use color blue, for example, in your posters, it depends on your target market. When you wanted to decide whether to use TikTok It depends on your target market. Whether you're going to use newspaper, it based on your target market. What tone of language are you going to use? It based on your target market. For example, in last semester, there's one, not this subject, in e-marketing. E-marketing. The question is, the student need to construct a campaign for a politician. This politician wanted to participate in a by-election in Ampang. In Ampang, and the task is to come up with a election campaign for this particular politician, for this person. And when they submit, when they give a presentation, when they do the analysis, it says that 50% or 60% population in Ampang are Malays. And 80% of the 60% Malays living in Kampung Ampang Melayu, for example, Kampung Melayu Ampang. Alright? And then when they come, they got it right to that extent, because they use the statistic from the Department of Statistics Malaysia, that. But we come to posters. When it comes to poster, when it comes to social media, they're using English language. And then I asked, but then just now you said that 60% of the voters are Malays. Then why do you use English? Then the answer is, sebab dekat UniKL kan dia punya medium English. So semua poster semua kena English. Then I said that that is not the answer. Because your submission, you need to speak in English, but when you present about the actual product, the actual advertisement that you wanted to communicate to the consumer, in this case, the target voters, it need to suit your target market. If your target markets are Malay, then, and for example, like your target market are Malays and they are like 50 and above, so why are you using English medium, or why are you using English in your advertisement? So it doesn't jive, it doesn't resonate with your target market. So you need to be careful on your target market, right? Now what are we going to look at in this topic? One is on the communication research. So you need to know your consumer. You need to know who is going to likely to buy your product. And how do you do this research? You do product specific research, for example. Consumer oriented research, target market research, focus group. Those are the type of research that can you do for identifying your consumer. You can choose anyone, or a combination of those lists. And then your target market, we're going to look at what is the meaning of demographic. We're going to look at what is psychographic, generation, geographic, benefit usage, and everything. We're going to look at that. And then the positioning of your product. How do you position your product in the mind of your consumer? The perception that you wanted to, the perception about your product. The moment I talk about the brand, then what are the first perception of the consumer about the brand? That's what we meaning by product positioning. And then we look at the objective. When you do the IMC planning process, what is your objective? Are you going to increase your sales volume? Are you going to increase your market share? Is it increasing your profit? Or is it concentrating on having return on your investment? So that is a different objective of your IMC planning process. And then what is your budget? Budget. and then the IMC components. Okay, and then international implication, you know that meaning. Um, as I said, IMC is not meant only for social media only. IMC is integrated marketing channel. Okay, so it must be integrated. You need to you need to integrate between new media and the old media and the emerging trends. That's what we meant by IMC, integrated marketing communication. Now, if you go to the next slide, okay, then we go on the segmentation. So this is how you segmentize your product. Oh, is how do you segmentize your market? Okay, sorry. So one is if you look at the B2B or business to business, kind of the same. You look at the specific industry. For example, like you wanted to sell microchip, for example. So what is your target market? What are the businesses that you're going to target that going to buy your microchip? Is it smartphone? Is it missile? Is it telecommunication? Or is it what electronic device? So what those are the industry target market. Geographic. Are you going to sell only in Malaysia? Are you going to sell in Southeast Asia? Is it going to be the whole world? All that. And the size of the industry. Are you going to sell to SMEs? Are you going to sell to big retailers? Are you going to sell only to one company? For example, like um, for Apple, for example. Okay, this one company in Taiwan only sell to Apple. They sell their product only to Apple and no one else. So that is based on the size of your target market. And then the product usage, the same thing as the industry and the customer value. So what value looking the customer in your target market are looking for, right? Then you can also look at the geographic area. And this is geo targeting. Okay, for example, just now like Mipan Zuzu, they open in, let's say, in Rawang, for example. So that is basically their target market. Why? Because for Mipan Zuzu selling ice cream, can they sell their product other than that geographical location? Is it possible? No, right? Why? Because of the nature of the product. Ice cream. Let's say someone from Johor Bahru wanted to buy the product, wanted to buy the ice cream. Is it possible? Not possible unless you open up a branch in Johor Bahru. Okay, so it depends on the product as well. Then there is a segmentation based on generation. So in this class, okay, except for me, what kind of generation? What generations are you?
Millennial.
Are you guys millennials? What year do you tahun korang ni lahir tahun bila?
Gen Z?
1999.
1999. 1999.
2000 sir.
1999.
2000.
So masih you guys not Gen Y, is it?
Millennials.
You still millennials. Or 1999 2000. Okay, still millennials. Gen X 1965 to 1977. Okay. Then 1954 until 1964 is younger boomers. Then older than that is older boomers. Older than that is like seniors. So now what makes so different these generations? Why marketers can segmentize their product or target market based on generations? Why is this generation so different?
The technology sir.
The technology. What about the technology?
Sebab macam masa zaman dulu so kita tak macam sekarang, sebab sekarang kan macam Mostly dalam daily life kita guna teknologi.
Okay. So then what's the difference between Gen X and millennials about technology?
So kalau behavior,
Okay, what about the behavior? Siapa tu?
saya
So Afrika. Alright. What about the behavior? Ini my interest, my topic ni behavior. What about the behavior?
sebab sometimes every generation ni dia ada different behavior macam tu.
Okay.
Kita tengok yang sekarang pun apa budak
Okay, let's talk about the behavior. Okay, give me one example.
tak ada saya. Okay.
Apa ni?
Example saya tu tak betul.
Jangan. You just tell me what's in your mind, then we going to discuss that.
Macam apa tu? Student yang ambil SPM kan semuanya 18 tahun kan. So tak macam mana mereka semua ada behavior masing-masing lah. Ada susah nak SPM, tak apa rasa.
I can't let you go now. You need to explain yourself. What about the SPM student?
Contoh macam lepas habis SPM kan, kita mestilah respect cikgu semua kan. And then sekarang bila tengok ada news keluar dekat Facebook, dekat Instagram semua kan, behavior diorang sedikit berbeza yang kita duduk dengan kami semua dulu lah. Mereka macam kurang apa tu, respect tu kurang.
So what's the connection of that with market segmentation?
Apa related ni? Kita kena sesuaikan kita punya cara untuk produk kita sampai kepada yang generasi-generasi macam tu lah.
Okay, now I kind of understand what you're trying to say, Nur Arifika Jafni. It's just that now we're talking about segmentation. Segmentation meaning when marketers wanted to sell their product, they segmentize the market based on generation. Now, what's so different? When you're right when you talk about consumer behavior. Okay, you're right to that point. I agree with you. But my next question will be, what are the behavior that differentiate all this generation? Okay, so the marketers can segmentize based on generation. For example, like let's say I wanted to sell a smartphone, for example. Who is my target market? Which generation?
Older generation?
Smartphone.
Yeah.
Older generation. Which one? Which generation?
Such as our parents.
Smartphone.
Tak. Parents boleh, kita semua boleh. Dia wide.
Okay. I'm sorry. Maybe your parents and my parents is quite different. So when you said our parents, I got the notion that because my mom is like 80 years old, something like that. Maybe your parents is around what? 40?
40 and 50.
40 and 50. Okay. 40. Yes, you still can. All right. Why? Then why do you say that 40? So 40 which generation? Gen X. Is it? Gen X. So why Gen X still target market for smartphone? That is my question. What is the behavior of Gen X which make it they're susceptible, or they can accept smartphone, or they do not afraid with technologies compared to baby boomers?
Oh, sir, I mean smartphone tu divided into two kan. Android and also iPhone kan, Apple. So what I mean here is kalau generation yang baru ni, diorang prefer untuk pakai Apple daripada Android.
Oh, millennials. Is it? You're saying that millennials preferring Apple and Gen X preferred Android.
Yes, sir.
What are you saying, North Africa?
Yes, yes.
All right, Nur Fatin Elmira. Nur Fatin Elmira.
Ya, saya.
Do you agree, Nur Fatin Elmira?
Ah,
Do you agree with Nur Afrika Jafni?
In my opinion, macam kalau gen kita sekarang ni, kita lebih prefer dengan iOS, iPhone kan. Kebanyakannya kita nampak student-student walaupun budak sekolah, diorang dah start guna iPhone. And then macam untuk mak ayah kita pula, diorang more to Android. Tapi ada certain yang akan pilih iPhone. Betul tak, sir?
Oh, so maksudnya kalau saya pilih iPhone, maksudnya saya millennials, is it?
Okey, tak. Maybe.
Sir, boleh saya bagi ni tak, my opinion?
Siapa tu? Betul?
Sir?
Nazatul Shima, is it?
Boleh saya bagi opinion saya tak? Okay, saya cakap tadi kalau yang apa pasal handphone dan teknologi kan. Kenapa Gen X lagi prefer daripada baby boomers, betul tak? Okay, sebab Gen X ni dia bekerja. So bila dia bekerja, dia gunakan teknologi yang banyak. So dia nak bergerak ke satu tempat yang lain senang. So maksud bagi opinion saya lah. Sebab kalau nak compare tu baby boomers, diorang dulu pada zaman dulu diorang tak bekerja guna teknologi sangat sebab mostly dulu diorang just guna apa sih yang guna tangan tu, saya tak faham apa dia punya keywords dia tu, saya lupa.
Okay.
Apa? Alamak.
Me very and odd ideas in my mind.
Apa dia?
Sister Butter.
Bukan Sister Butter. Diorang guna more to hands on. Diorang baby boomers dulu hands on punya kerja. So bila sekarang ni Gen X, bila diorang Gen X ni diorang bekerja dengan menggunakan teknologi. So diorang lagi prefer guna handphone ataupun komputer yang boleh bergerak rather than baby boomers untuk guna. So kalau baby boomers nak guna pun untuk apa? Diorang tak bekerja.
Alright. Okay, now why I ask you guys? Well, Nazatul Shima, you're almost there. Okay, you're almost there. Now, when you segmentize your market based on generations, okay, there must be a reason behind it. Okay, there must be a reason behind it. Nur Afrika Jafni correctly identified based on behavior of the generations. Although when we say about behavior of each generation, it doesn't mean that each and every one of individual within that generation have a similar behavior. It's just that we generalize. Okay, we generalize. Not jadi you're right in saying that look at the behavior of the generation. And Nazatul Shima say that yes, we look at the job, the kind of job that the generation is doing, which is correct as well. Because if you look at the generation, for example, right? You look at the time period. Okay, look at the time period. Remember last week when we talk about advertisement, we talk about marketing. When we talk about marketing, it says that it need to resonate with the society. Correct? It need to resonate with the society. So now, if you look at the time period, it somehow it gives you a hint on what kind of society they're living on. For example, like baby boomers, these older boomers and younger boomers, right? From 1952 until 1964. Now, why do you think? Do you have any idea why they call it baby boomers? These younger boomers and older boomers. Why do you think that they call it baby boomers generation?
Can I try?
Can? Who's that?
Because Farah.
Asra, yes, Farah, not Asra.
Because this is what I heard. Because after war, people started producing babies. So
Why?
that because it's after war. So
Kenapa after war? Kenapa sebelum war no tak produce baby?
tak macam time tu the peak of the increase of the increase rate of kelahiran, if I'm not mistaken.
What caused that?
Huh?
What causing that phenomenon?
Sebab orang balik daripada war.
Orang balik dari war letih kot.
Tak, sebab that's what I heard from this documentary. They said that baby boomers punya what is it called, generation appears after war, like that dia punya the rate of baby lahir tahun within those years.
Alright. Okay, now. Yeah. Basically, Farah, no, Asra, you are right. Okay. That baby boomers generation after the war period. You need to understand during war what happened, especially in Europe. Okay, especially in Europe, was quite brutal. They didn't just bomb military spaces or area. They bomb everything. City, especially they bomb the factories. Why they bomb factories? Because they wanted to immobilize the economic activities in that particular country. Okay, they wanted to destroy the economy of that particular country. That's why they bomb factories. They bomb all these economic areas. Okay, so war is quite brutal. So after the war, all these facilities have been demolished, has been obliterated. So people, when they come back from war, they do not have any job. They do not know what to do. So then you understand lah, they don't have anything to do, then, all right, something to do with what we have right now, the pandemic. You do not have anything to do. Everything is closed down. Okay, you just sit at home, tak buat apa. So, all right, you old enough to understand what I'm trying to say. So that's where you get this the birth rate getting high and high after the war. Okay, so then what's so special about these baby boomers? So after the war, it is a period of rebuilding. Okay, it's you have an opportunity of fresh start. Meaning to say, your countries, especially in Europe, has been obliterated, has been demolished. For example, in Japan, for example, okay, you've been atom bombed by the US. So it's like everything is destroyed. So they need to start rebuilding. Okay, they need to start rebuilding. So they work hard on rebuilding their countries. So basically, at that point of time, they have a lot of industry. Okay, and this is where when you just said just now about the type of job. Okay, the type of job. So now, after the baby boomers, then you have the Gen X in 1965 to 1977. So baby boomers live in the hard time, meaning because at this period, at this juncture, people are rebuilding. So life are hard. Okay, susah. Susah, sangat susah. So after they have rebuilt everything, then you have this Gen X in 1965 to 1977, whereby you have this, everything is ready now. The infrastructure is ready, the economy is now stabilized. So Gen X is actually living in the good time. Okay, Gen X living in a very good time, a very prosperous time. Economy is going up. Okay, economy is going up. But there's some social, political issues here. For example, in Vietnam War. What else? Autocratic. Maksudnya pemerintahan autokratik. Kuku besi. Those are the what happened. Okay, what happened in that era. Okay, economy is going up, but there is a what we call Cold War between the US and also the Russia. Okay, between democracy, the capitalists and socialists at that point of time. Okay, but the economy is good. Economy is good. 1977, and then you have Vietnam War, you have Korean War during this period. And it also influence the behavior of those people that live in that era. Okay, they are more about freedom. They're more about social justice. For example, in 1976 is the end of the Vietnam War. Okay, but the Cold War is still going on up until 77. But the economy basically is still booming. Okay, still booming. Then, but at 1970s, for example, is where you have all this internet. Okay, the birth of the internet in 1970s. That's where people are more become technological savvy. Okay, this is 1970s or 1960 to 70s is the birth of the internet, whereby people started internet at this period. Okay, this is where you see IBM during this period, Apple in this period. Okay, and all those that Silicon Valley in America in this 1970s. And then you go to 1978 to 2000. Okay, from 1978 to 2000, basically the world witnessed around 2 or 3 economic downturn. Okay, the world had witnessed around 2 or 3 economic downturn in 1978 up until 2002. And even worse in 2002 up until 2020, okay, there are multiple economic downturn. So these millennials, and after millennials you have Gen Y. So they have a different behavior. Okay, you have the different behavior. What the behavior? Meaning younger boomers and Gen X, they're living in a very good economy. Okay, the very good economy. But millennials and also Gen Y, they're living in at times of a lot of economic turmoil, a lot of economic downturns. So these are whereby if you look at younger boomer and Gen X, they're quite loyal. Okay, because they can work in one company until their retirement age. But millennials and Gen Y, because of the economic downturns, the companies may not be standing more than 1 or 2 years. Maybe the company may collapse. So there's no such thing as loyalty to one company. Okay, so that's how you see that whatever happened in those period will determine the behavior of these generations. So for example, like Gen X, they may be susceptible, or they may be they can still accept technology. But for older boomers and younger boomers, they may not be very technological savvy. Why? Because you said that just now, they are rebuilding. Okay, technologies as we seen today in 2021 is only started in 1970s. Okay, so those who are born in 1970s, they may be technology savvy. Okay, sampailah dekat zaman korang sekarang ni. You guys are whatever you taken for granted today on how to switch on the laptop, how to use smartphone that you take for granted is something which is unimagined by the younger boomers and older boomers, because they do not have that kind of technology before. So they may not be, they may not appreciate what are the technology that we have right now. Okay, so that's why when marketers come to segmentize their product, okay, they based on generations. Why? Because different generation will experience a different experience. So their preference, a product preference will be different. For example, like older and younger boomers, they wanted to buy a house. Why? Because for them, a house is a security. But for millennials and Gen Y, because of their economic, they may not be economically stable, they're not maybe financially stable. So a house may not be a product that wanted to buy. It's not that they do not want to buy a house, but they cannot afford to buy a house. So for target market, okay, let's say you're selling a house, your target market may not be millennials or Gen Y. So your target may be Gen X and younger boomers. So you can see that a different product may have a different target market. Why? Because different generation appreciate different product differently. Another example. In this class, which one do you prefer? Avengers or Star Wars?
Avengers Assemble.
Avengers
Assemble. Aduh. Star Wars untuk Icap sebab Icap dah tua.
Okay, why Avengers? Why not Star Wars? This will explain about generations.
Sebab Star Wars dia kan daripada season yang lama kan.
Kenapa dengan Star Wars? Star Wars season lama.
So dia basically untuk orang-orang yang nak kena tengok tu, dia tengok daripada season yang pertama.
Okay. Avengers buat take 10 years what?
Yes, 10 years. Tapi masa tu saya dah lahir lah.
Okay. So why do you appreciate Avengers more than Star Wars? Star Wars pun zaman ni pun ada dah.
Sebab ni dia punya gambar tu lama Macam Avengers ni gambar lawa. Kalau Star Wars dia macam lebih pada filem yang lama.
But then the Star Wars, the current one, the Rise of the Skywalker is very current. It's like 2018 or 19. But why the new generation cannot appreciate Star Wars compared to Avengers?
Sebab Star Wars dia kisah-kisah untuk ayah-ayah saya, untuk mak saya. So saya ni sebagai pendatang-pendatang baru ni ketika tengok Avengers, so dia punya CGI lagi gitu. So kalau saya nak dengar pendapat lebih lanjut, boleh tanya kat Icap sebab dia minat Star Wars.
Okay, now Muhammad Norisha, what do you reckon? What's your opinion?
Saya kurang setuju. Sebab I think Star Wars ni dia dah ada dia dah ada from 1970s lagi. Which I think at that time Star Wars tu dia macam breaking the norms lah. Dia buat movie yang macam about space kan. And then dia about space and unrelated to Earth pula tu. Maksudnya dia pasal cerita pasal luar-luar angkasa kat sana, jauh sana tu kan. So I think and then dengan cara dia blend to every generation, so dia dapat bertahan daripada 1970s tu sampai sekarang. I think something awesome lah macam tu. Macam hebat lah.
Tapi kalau nak cakap pasal Avengers pun ada juga dekat ni angkasa juga. Macam Guardian of the Galaxy Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3.
Macam,
so macam mana Cak? Nak cakap Star Wars tu logik, nak cakap Avengers tu tak logik, Star Wars pun tak logik. Macam mana Cak?
It's not about logik. It's about macam Avengers dari komik kan. Tapi Star Wars tu komik tak ada time tu. And then dia dapat create something like komik macam tu. Something great lah. Even I think Star Wars kalau nak kata fans tu yang tua-tua pun ada lagi kot. Even saya pun Star Wars. So saya macam time baby I macam son, look at this book. You should read about this book. And I was like, wow, so good.
Cak, kalau kau bagi anak kau tengok, dia macam, apa benda bapak ni? Apa bapak ni?
Alright, now let's. Okay, I get you guys to the context, right? The context of the discussion. Now, that's why I said I told you guys to watch movies, right? Because everything is related to movies. Now I wanted to explain on the perspective of generation-wise. Okay, so Star Wars and Avengers. So Muhammad Nabil Shah is an exception. As I said just now, it doesn't mean that when we talk about generation, the behavior of that generation, everyone or every person in that generation have the similar behavior. There may be some exceptions, anomaly. Okay, when you do research, sometimes there's an anomaly. Now, if you look at the time, okay, of that generation, Star Wars is basically on Gen X. You look at the time 1965 to 1976, 7, and all that. As I said just now, what happened during 1965, 1977? Okay. I told you guys that in 1965 to 1977 or 80s, there's a lot. The Cold War is still there between Russia and US. So there's a lot of issues on geopolitical issues. Okay, geopolitical issues. There's a lot of issues on dictators. Okay, dictators. There's a lot of countries that particular time ruled by dictators. And there's during 1970s, there's a lot of issues on civil rights. Okay, civil rights, meaning hak kesamarataan. No, there's a lot of issues on women's equality of gender, equality of ethnic, meaning there's issues on racism, you know that. Okay, so social justice, people fighting for justice, people fighting for rights, people fighting against tyranny. Tyranny means those dictators. Okay, people fighting against imperialism, colonization, you know that. So those are the issue, those are the theme during this period. So those are the issue which resonate with people from that era. So if you look at Star Wars, okay, Star Wars basically talking about the main theme of Star Wars is not Jedi, but the theme is about fighting for justice, fighting for their rights, fighting against the imperialism, fighting against the dictatorship. So those issues, okay, those issues are relevant in that particular era. Okay, but if you talk to you guys right now, if I talk about imperialism, if I talk about dictatorship, something which you may not be relevant to you, you may not appreciate. What what do you think? What am I saying about dictatorship? There's no dictatorship here in Malaysia, for example. There's no imperialism in this world. There's no slavery. Alright, there's no such thing as social justice. There's no such thing as gender equality. Although there is an issue about gender equality, but it's not as if like in 1970s, whereby women need to, women in America, for example, they need to fight for right to vote. Something which is taken for granted today. Why? Because women right now have the right to vote. So there's no issue about voting. Women last time they need to fight for right for education. Is that a relevant issue right now? You guys like I think 80% in this class are women. So there's no issue here about gender equality. There's no issue about racism. All right, although there's still issue of racism right now, but it is not that rampant. There's no issue about geopolitical. Why? Because the Cold War is not there, not here anymore. There's a even Russia now is a democratic country. Okay, democratic based on their own pattern. Okay, how they define democracy. So, which is not relevant today. Okay. But Avengers, I don't know. Now the new generation like most of CGI, all that. Okay, so they resonate with the current generation. So that is even for a simple movie. Okay, what movie that this generation like, what this movie another generation like, can explain about market segmentation. Alright, okay. Macam kalau awak nak jual movie lah, if you come up with you wanted to market a movie for example, and then you need to think, aku nak jual kat siapa ni? Kalau aku nak buat drama ni, aku nak jual kat siapa? Who is my target market? Which generation for example? Okay, so that's about segmentation. Also, if you look at segmentation, it can be geodemographic. Geodemographic means you combine between demographic and geographic. Okay, you can segmentize based on demographic, you can based on geographic, but you can combine both into geodemographic. You can also look at demographic, you look at the gender, age, and ethnicity. Okay, for example, what kind of product that you're going to sell to a specific gender? Only men will buy certain product. Only women will buy certain product. But what are the product which is unisex? Means both male and female can buy. Okay, unisex. And then what are kind of product that a certain age will buy? Apa produk yang orang umur tu je akan beli? Youngsters je akan beli. Apa produk yang orang tua je ada beli? Okay, so those are segmentation based on age. And ada juga demographic based on ethnic. Okay, based on ethnic. For example, like baju Melayu. Baju Melayu. Oh, baju kurung. So, only ethnic Melayu saja akan beli baju kurung. Ethnic Melayu saja hanya akan beli baju Melayu. Correct? Alright. And then based on usage. Okay, you can segmentize your market based on usage. So if you wanted to segmentize based on usage, you need to identify what are the advantages. Okay, what are the advantages that you wanted to communicate to the consumer. Okay, you need to measure the growth, for example. For example, like you wanted to sell product for orang tua. Okay, orang tua. Polident. Okay, Polident, pelekat gigi palsu Polident, for example. So you wanted to based on age orang tua. So what are the advantages of that Polident, pelekat gigi palsu? But then if you wanted to sell to orang tua, what is the growth? What is the potential growth of your market? Is it growing or is it shrinking? Those are the things that you wanted to take note of. Or you can wanted to segmentize your product based on psychographic. Okay, psychographic, you're looking at the value and lifestyle, the VAL. People are innovators. Are you selling to innovators? Are you selling to thinkers, achievers, experiencers, believers, strivers, makers, and survivors? So these are basically a topic or a heading which classify different value and lifestyle. For example, Putri Nohasha Hurin. Where are you, Putri Nohasha?
Yes, sir.
Based on your own behavior, are you innovators or are you thinkers or are you any of those late on those list?
Tak, sir.
Are you innovators or thinkers? So what is your behavior? What do you like? Do you love to try something new?
Yes.
Or are you just following others?
Maybe macam following others juga kot.
Okay, so you're a little bit of both. But then what's your dominant criteria? For example, like selecting a product.
Saya tengok review kot. Kalau nak selecting produk.
So perhaps you're maybe a thinkers. But then these are the things that you may wanted to, okay, all of you need to read this. Meaning, if you wanted to segmentize your product or segmentize your market based on psychographic, so you need to look at the value and lifestyle of your target market. For example, like say if you are targeting innovators, product like Apple, for example. Previously, everyone when they sell smartphone, they will include charging cables. And suddenly, when Apple sell their smartphone, no charging cables included. Samsung and Huawei mocking them, making fun of Apple. But for the next product, Samsung and Huawei followed Apple. They don't include charging cables. So for those who buy Apple, they are innovators, meaning they are willing to try something new. Okay, so taking risks. Those are innovators. So when you're selling product, you also based on psychographic. So when you look at your characteristic of your target market. Your target market are innovators. Are they thinkers? Are they believers? So those are the things which characterize your target market. Then lastly, you can segmentize your market based on benefit. What are the benefit sought by your target market? For example, like health product. Are you selling to dieters, those who are looking after their daily diets, or winners? These are what they call these competitive people. Okay, those who are, let's for example, when they enter any competition, they would like to win. Or are they self-improvers, just wanted to improve their health? Okay, so those are example for segmentizing your consumer or your segment based on benefit. All right, any question up until now? A very nice discussion. Any question? Nurul Ain Najiha, ada soalan? Nurul Ain Najiha, do you have any question?
Yes, sir.
So
So far
what's
tak
your
ada, sir.
the question?
So far dah. Tak ada.
Okay. Yes.
Yang segmen yang help tadi kan, yang benefit. Untuk help tu winners tu macam mana tu?
Pardon me? Untuk winners.
Winners.
Okay, for example, let's say you are selling a health product. Okay, and your target market are winners. Meaning, for example, these winners who are very competitive. For example, let's say kalau you enter a marathon, for example.
So as macam atlet lah sir?
Pardon me?
Macam atlet ya sir?
Macam iFlix.
Atlet.
Oh, athlete, yes. So they are winners. Okay, they are winner, meaning when they enter any competition, they wanted to win. They're very competitive. But then those who are just self-improvers, when they enter any competition, they just wanted to, let's say, make sure they finish the competition. For example, let's say these people who enter this marathon and all that, they just wanted to improve themselves. Their stamina, their endurance and all that, they just wanted to finish. Dapat medal, dah. But then for winners, when they enter marathon, for example, they make sure that they win. Nak dapat podium places and all that, menang at least nombor 2, nombor 3 and all that. So those are winners, very competitive. Kalau dieters, for example, ni macam orang yang makan health supplement ataupun dia beli health supplement tu untuk dia nak jadi kurus, for example. Okay, untuk jadi I don't know, nak buang lemak ke what not. These are dieters. So even for simple product like health product, you have a multiple segmentation. Okay, kalau awak jual protein, for example, protein, those are protein to build muscle. This is for winners and self-improvers, especially for winners. After they go for workout, they eat protein untuk bina dia punya muscle. Tapi for dieters, after they work out, they may wanted to buy something yang macam nak make them feel full, tak lapar, so dia tak makan lagi. So sebab dia nak kurus badan. Okay. Self-improvers ni mungkin dia nak badan dia sihat and all that. Okay, dia tak kisah, dia tak kurus tapi dia sihat.
Alright sir, thank you sir.
Alright, cool. Alright, you go to the next slide. Positioning. Okay, how do you position your product? How do you position your product in the mind of your consumer? It can be international. Are you international level or local player? Are you going to position your product in global market? Okay, how do you position? So kalau, for example, if you wanted to position your product in global, you wanted to be a global player, so your product, the standard product must be a global standard, international standard, and the name of your product must be accepted internationally. Okay, and then if you wanted to position your product based on price quality relationship, just now when we talk about Mipan Zuzu, you talk about price and quality. You say that your price may be cheaper than your international competitors. So you can sell, if Mipan wanted to challenge, for example, Haagen-Dazs. So Haagen-Dazs at that quality may cost you a lot, but you as a local player, you may have the same quality as Haagen-Dazs, but at a cheaper price. So this is how you position your product. Or you wanted to go for cost leader. Okay, you are selling cheap, but maybe a less quality, but you're selling cheap. So when people look at your product, people look at your brand, people know that you are cheap product. So if you have no quality, then they still accept your product. Why? Because your positioning is not about quality. Your positioning is about cost, low cost. That's why if you go to, for example, eAsia, okay, and then if you accept eAsia, is different from MAS. different from Singapore Airline. Why? Because if you using AirAsia, it's a no-frills airline. So if the service is bad, then you still acceptable. Why? Because the positioning is about cost. But if you use MAS, for example, or use Singapore Airline, and you receive a bad service, it is not acceptable. Why? Because MAS and Singapore Airline is all about quality. Okay, it's all about quality. So if they do not give a quality service, then it is not acceptable. But if you go to AirAsia, you receive a very bad service, then it is acceptable, because the positioning in AirAsia is about cost, not about quality. All right. Use or applications, meaning how do you use the product? How do you apply those products? This is also a positioning. Cultural symbol. Just now when we talk about Mipan Zuzu, okay, one of the communication or message that we can communicate to the consumer is about being a local product, being a local player, support locals, correct? So this is where you can use a cultural symbol. You use like a national flag, for example, or you use anything, a symbol which symbolizes local product, or you symbolize a local symbol. For example, like KLCC is a local symbol. Okay, when you look at any KLCC symbol, then you know that it is Kuala Lumpur. So that's a symbol. Nur Alif, awak, where are you from?
Pahang, Kuala Lumpur.
So what is the symbol in Pahang, Kuala Lumpur?
Pahang, Kuala Lumpur. Kalau saya ambil kamera sir, strawberry sir.
Pahang. Apa dia?
Apa
Kalau use that symbol, orang tahu itu adalah from Pahang.
Gajah sir. Elephant.
Apa? Gajah?
Elephant.
What? Elephant, gajah. Alright. Okay. So that is a symbol. Okay, gajah. Okay, so that is a cultural symbol. And then for example, you're using a tengkolok, for example, a tengkolok symbol, then it signify what? A cultural or Malay culture symbol, correct? Or a keris is a cultural, Malay cultural symbol. Okay. Now, use product users. Okay. Who might use your product? Also is position. And then product attributes, meaning you're looking at the characteristic of your product. Competitors. Okay, product class is very easy. Mercedes-Benz and Wira, Mercedes-Benz and Myvi, are they coming from the same product class?
No, sir.
All right. So because Mercedes-Benz is of the high end, and then Myvi is at the lower end. Okay, so that is the meaning of product class. So the moment you look at the brand, you look at the product, you know which class is that product. So this product class has this some relationship with the price quality relationship. Just now. All right. Any question? Ada soalan? Semua follow Nur Syafiqah Syazah. Are you in the lesson? Nur Syafiqah Syazah, are you following the discussion? Nur Syafiqah Syazah.
Yes, sir.
You following the discussion, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Now, next slide, marketing communication objective. Okay, what is, when you come up with the IMC plan, what is or what are your objective? Are you going to increase your sales volume, market share, profit, or return of investment? This is one quite easy, all right? Quite straightforward. Meaning, when you launch your product or when you come up with your marketing campaign, what is your main intention? What is your main objective actually? Are you going for profit? Are you going for market share? I give you one differences. For example, if your target is market share, you may wanted to come up with let's say a promotional price. Why? Because you wanted people to come up with more people to use your product. That is increasing your market share. For example, Apple TV Plus, for example, it says that free usage, free usage for 1 year. You don't have to pay for 1 year. So maybe for 1 year, Apple TV Plus do not make any profit. They do not charge anything, so the pricing is zero. But what they get is increase in market share in 1 year. But then if your objective is profit, you need to get more people to buy your product. So you need to charge maybe as maximum as you can to increase your profit. So that's the difference. Okay, same as sales volume. If you go for sales volume, you may wanted to give discount. Why? Because your idea or your objective is not for maximum profit, but your idea is to increase sales. So you give discount. Okay, so this is when you come up with the IMC plan, you must be very clear with what is your intention. For example, like your group assignment, what is the main purpose of your advertisement? Is it for profit? Is it market share? Is it for sales volume? Or is it for ROI? Which one? Your group assignment. What is your intention? What's your objective for your group assignment when you conduct the IMC or the marketing plan, your advertisement? What's your intention? What's your objective? What?
To give information about our product, sir.
Information, but not only creating awareness, but to what? To get people to do what?
To increase our sales, sir.
Okay, you are basically you are right, but can you explain?
Macam saya cakap tadi, kita giving discount ataupun promotion lah. Macam selalu kalau kat Malaysia ni yang kita selalu nampak buy two free one. So semua orang nak free. That free thing tu orang akan datang. So dia akan belilah dua. So dari situ
Okay, your group assignment is to get more people to subscribe to this global warming and climate change campaign, right? As many people to subscribe to that idea, correct? So it's some sort like a sales volume. Because sales volume is about volume. It's about you get as many people to buy your product. So in your assignment, it's about getting as many people to buy your ideas about global warming and climate change, correct? So this is in your group assignment is more about your sales volume. Get as many people to buy in to that idea. Okay, so that's the objective of your assignment. Now, marketing communication objective. Okay, develop awareness. Okay, this like develop brand awareness, but some sort like your group assignment. Increase category demand, increasing demand basically. Changing customer belief or attitudes. For example, like your customer may have some perception about your product. For example, like last time we have this perception that everything that come from Japan, for example, last time, okay, when after the war, anything that come from Japan is a cheap product, imitation product. But then how Japan changed the perception that whatever come from Japan is a quality product. Okay, the same thing now, that the perception about things coming from China. Okay, when every time I say, oh, this is made from China. as if that we have the perception that this product is a low quality, a cheap product, correct? Then how China can change the perception that their product is not cheap, their product is not of low quality, their product is not an imitation product. So this is a multi-combination objective, is to change the customer belief and attitudes about your product. And then enhance purchase action, the CTA. You get people to actually buy your product. Okay, not only aware about your product, but to purchase your product. And then not only to buy your product, but repeatedly buying your product. Minggu ni beli, minggu depan beli, minggu satu lagi beli, repeated purchases. Okay, this is one of the objective. And then build customer traffic. How do you get consumer to come to your Instagram account? How to build up your customer traffic? How to get people to go to your YouTube channel, for example. Okay, that's the customer traffic. And then enhance firm image. For example, like Malaysian has been known for corruption, for example. Then how do we change this perception? Being a corrupt countries and all that. Then increase market share. Ini sama. Increase sales. Reinforce purchase decision. Okay, reinforce purchase decision means you already succeeded to influence consumer to buy your product. But sometimes consumer may have doubts. Sometimes consumer may have some say that they may buy something else. So how to reinforce this decision or this customer decision? How to reinforce? How to make sure that the consumer will buy your product? And those are the objective of IMC. Okay, all right. Any question? No. All right. Net type of budget. Okay, type of budget. Okay, this is what are the budget that you may have to take care of. Okay, percentage of sale, what we can afford, objective, blah blah blah, quantity model, payout planning, and all that. Okay, so I think this one is quite straightforward. But then this communication schedule. Okay, communication schedule. This is I need to explain to you. Flighting schedule means, okay, flighting schedule means you may communicate to your consumer, for example, not throughout the year, but some months of the year. For example, like during Hari Raya, for example, or during festive season that you put in your advertisement. Continuous campaign schedule means throughout the year, same, meaning you consistently campaigning throughout the year. Pulsating schedule means a combination of flighting and continuous. That's pulsating schedule. Right? Then you ask me, Sharin, why don't we continuously advertise throughout the year? Why must we have flighting schedule? Why we only advertise in certain part of the year? Well, it depends on your type of product. For example, like self-raising flower. Nak buat cake, for example. You never see the advertisement of self-raising flower throughout the year. You will only see the iklan, you will only see the advertisement during Raya ataupun masuk bulan Ramadan. Alright, because orang nak buat kek untuk Raya. Correct? Ataupun iklan Ribena, for example. Jarang-jarang I see iklan Ribena throughout the year. Tapi aku nampak iklan Ribena, advertisement Ribena during bulan puasa. Dekat-dekat nak buka puasa tu. Correct? So they only mean they only advertise in certain time of the year. Right. Next question. Okay, next slide. Question. There is a question here. How does income and education link together in segmentation? Meaning to say, what is the influence of income and education in segmentation of your market? So what is the relationship? Norizul Husna. Norizul Husna, where are you?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Yeah, Norizul Husna. What is the influence of income and education in segmentation of consumer, segmentation of market? What is the...
If their concerns, if different income, they have different concern.
Example?
Example for like brand, macam kita beli bag. Okay, if like middle income, dia macam tak kisah dia nak beli brand apa. Mungkin lah dalam brand yang macam contoh Vinci or Charles and Keith or something like that. Okay, yang macam mampu milik. But for middle class, higher class, dia macam akan high income, dia akan go for something LV or go for Prada, something like that. So, and like income, in terms of their concern or their interest.
Okay, that is, you're talking about income. But the question is about the relationship of income and education.
Income and education.
No, it's okay. I understand what you're trying to say. Muhammad Ashraf Hidayat. Muhammad Ashraf Hidayat. Muhammad Ashraf, where are you?
Yes, sir.
So what is the relationship between income and education in segmentation of consumer? How income and education influence each other?
Sir, boleh ulang balik, sir?
What is the relationship between income and education in segmentizing your market?
Segmentizing. Wait. Oh my god.
Yes, we talk about segmentation based on demographic, right?
Yes.
Then we talk about education, age, that. But the question is how income and education influence the segmentation of consumer.
Maybe for the macam untuk kalau bab income, kalau untuk someone yang ada high income, dia akan tengok something tu based on the brand and something like macam status yang produk tu bawah.
Alright, but is high income means high education?
Kalau high income means high education, sometimes macam kalau kata person yang ada high education pun, maybe he would know dia macam tahulah lebih mendalam tentang something. Contoh kalau barang tu, produk tu melibatkan teknologi, so someone yang with high education, dia lebih tahulah. Yang contoh lah saya bagi, contoh yang saya boleh bagi adalah handphone, which is iOS dengan Android. So for some with higher education, dia akan tahu antara perbezaan, perbandingan antara Android dengan iOS, yang mana lebih tahan lama, yang mana which is has more update and something like that. So untuk kalau macam kan dia high education means dia high income. So for the person like this, he would choose iOS because of he would know about the technology that being used for iOS, which is A50 Bionic chip, something like that, and the status of the brand premium. Contoh macam kita tengok kalau orang yang pakai iPhone, kita akan cakap orang kaya because of the status that the brand brings.
Okay.
like that lah.
Right. So, okay, thanks for your opinion. Muhammad Nur Rahmat. Muhammad Nur Rahmat.
Hi, Assalamualaikum, sir.
Waalaikumsalam. Okay, now, just now, Noriza Husna talks about high income, they will go for high branded. I think Hidayat also talks about a similar line, along the line, but how about low income but high education?
Low income but high education. Okay,
Yes.
so for my opinion, right, I think kalau macam contoh you, macam tadi Noh Hidayat tu cakap, kalau kita ada high income, kita akan bagi a better education. But then, sekata dengan saya, low income but higher education. I think if you have a low income but you have a higher education, that means you get another opportunity. But because in Malaysia, we have a lot of scholarship, macam scholarship lah, macam contoh kita nak education, kita walaupun kita daripada generasi yang B40, kelompok B40 dan kita nak dapatkan higher education, we need to try hard. Maksudnya hard working kita akan pay off dengan kita punya result. So I think low income ni boleh dapatkan kepada higher education bila kita put the effort.
Alright. Okay, now, why I ask this question? Because it will link to my next question. Just now we talk about generations, right? We talked about baby boomers, younger boomers, millennials, Gen X. Who do you think represent, which generation represent low income, high education?
Millennials.
Which generation do you think? Low income, high education.
Boomers.
Are you sure? Boomers like low education, low income. Right. But now you have a generation whereby low income but high education. Which generation is this?
Current education.
Millennial, sir.
Gen Y?
Millennial.
Gen Y and Gen X. You know why? Because you go right now, the generation right now, you have a high education. Most of you have a high generation. Most of you have at least a first degree. Right? But then you go out, there's no job. You look at now the economic situation, there's no job. If you can get a job, you will pay like below minimum payment. You will pay at 1,008, 2,000, you know that. So you are now having a generation of low income and high education. So as a marketer, how do you advertise to these people? What kind of message? How do you sell to this generation? Whereby this generation may be having a high education, may be receptive to new technology, having TikTok account, Clubhouse, and all that. But when it comes to buying the actual product, they can't. They do have a low disposable income. So how do you get these people to buy your product? Okay, so this is a question. As a marketer, I'm not going to ask for the answer right now. Why? Because this is a question that you may want to ponder. Why? Because it represents your generation. So now, as a marketer, you wanted to advertise to your generation who are high education but low income. So how do you get your generation to buy your product? What are the features that in your product that would suitable to this generation, which has high education but low income? So these are the things that you need to take note of, okay, as a marketer. Right. Next slide, make a list of 5 consumer goods or services that are segmented on the basis of gender, but sold to both genders. Apa-apa barang yang sepatutnya jual pada satu gender tapi dua-dua gender boleh beli?
Ring sir, ring.
Ring.
Kalau ring sir.
Cincin.
Pampers sir, pampers.
Spray mata je.
Pampers.
Perfume sir?
Perfume.
Rantai sir, rantai.
Perfume, but then perfume you have for him or for her?
Rantai sir.
Spray mata.
Okay. Cermata tapi wait. The goods here basically actually you wanted to sell that product to a certain gender. Maksudnya awak nak jual mungkin pada perempuan je. Tapi lelaki pun beli. Ada produk yang awak nak jual pada lelaki tapi perempuan pun beli.
Lip balm sir.
Lip balm.
Lip balm
So targeted market siapa? Targeted market sebenarnya untuk
orang yang mereka bibir.
Yelah, tapi sebenarnya tak jual pada perempuan.
Target market dia untuk perempuan tapi lelaki pun boleh beli.
Betul.
Faham, alright. Other things, tadi awak cakap pampers. Kenapa pampers?
Pampers babies dengan orang tua.
Oh, okay, alright, okay.
Oh, okay.
Good sir.
Okay, alright. Lagi?
Sir, kereta boleh ke?
Kereta, okay, why kereta? What kind of kereta? What kind of car?
Macam contoh Mini Cooper kan. Kalau Mini Cooper biasanya macam perempuan lah ramai yang kata sesuai pakai kereta yang kecil-kecil, yang nampak nice, nampak ada shape semua tu. Tapi but now kita boleh nampak yang lelaki pun pakai Mini Cooper. Nampak lagi macam orang kata style lah, nampak lah dia punya elegan dia tu.
Okay.
Itu apa
Alright. You're right. Perhaps dia sama macam skuter. Okay,
Yes
scooter.
sir.
The actual market for scooter is for women. Alright, tapi lelaki pun beli skuter. Kenapa skuter actually meant for women?
Senang je. Tak ada gear apa semua press je.
Not really about the gear, about the design.
Dia ada tempat letak kaki tu yang tak payah langkah.
Yes, sebab dulu perempuan kan pakai skirt. So kalau the normal motorbike, perempuan susah sebab dia pakai skirt, right? So skuter tu senang. But now skuter lelaki pun beli. So there's no on gender based on that. Well, okay. Now the question is kenapa aku tanya soalan ni? Why do I ask this question?
Sebab produk sekarang banyak jadi universal tu.
That's one. Secondly, because right now we're talking about market segmentation, right? Sometimes when you segmentize a product, then you target your advertisement based on your market segmentation. So all your advertisement meant for example like macam scooter for example, tadi Mini Cooper lah based on your example. So when you market a Mini Cooper, so you use your advertisement, you advertise gunakan your concentration, your focus on women. Okay, letak model pun woman naik kereta bla bla bla. So all your focus is on women. Tapi sebenarnya lelaki pun nak beli. Tapi bila you ignore man market, market lelaki, so you lose out on that opportunity. So it shows that some product you need to be very careful because you may want to target certain market segment, but perhaps other segment yang akan beli. So mungkin awak silap di situ. Okay, that is the my main intention of this question. Alright, ada soalan tak? Ada soalan tak before I go to the database marketing? Tak ada. Alright. Now, when we talk about database, okay, when we talk about database, usually we talk about big data and all that, then we always ask ourselves, what is the relevancy between database and marketing? Okay, what is the relationship between database and marketing? So how do this database will help us as marketers? How do this database will help us in marketing our product? So basically that is the question. Now basically a database will help you in planning, okay, buyer behavior, because based on database you will see the pattern, the behavior pattern of the consumer, and then it will help you on personal selling, and then public relations and sponsorship, because based on database you know who is your customer. Okay, basically database is about knowing your customer. You wanted to know who is your customer actually. For example, like UniKL Business School, when we wanted to advertise, let's say marketing costs, the question is, who should we advertise about this marketing costs? So you guys are my database. So I need to look at your data to see the pattern. Okay, so when I see the pattern, and that is the use of database. The database will tell you the pattern, will connect you to the dots. Okay, connect you to the dots means you can see the pattern, you can see the similarity. What is the similar about Big and Norishaf? Lepas tu apa yang sama dengan Nur Alif? Sama dengan Norizul Husna, sama dengan Nur Syafawati. What combines or what connects all you guys? You guys mungkin berasal daripada tempat lain. You come from different locations, different family background, okay, different income, all right? But there must be something which connect all of you. So how do I make that connection? That is the use of database. Okay, so as a marketer, when I, okay, for example, if you look at the list, okay, you look at the participant list right now, I cannot tell what is the similarity between all of you guys. What is the common trait that shared by all of you? Okay, what are the common trait that shared by all of you? But then based on database, okay, based on all of your data, this system or this software or this technology able to tell me basically what connects between Farah Arina and Farah Nur Asra. And what's connect Farah Nur Asra and Fatin Nur Ainun Najwa. Okay, so this system or this technology will help marketers to connect the dots, to look at the pattern. So basically that is on database. So yeah, if you look at the slides, okay, it's basically telling you guys what I summarized just now. Okay, so do you have any question before I end the class? Ada soalan tak? Any question? Wan Aiman Razin, the stretching. So do you have any question?
No sir, saya sakit pinggang sikit.
Okay, sakit pinggang sedikit. Alright. Okay, now since we have a lot of time, sekarang pukul apa? 5.20. Right. Let me move this a little bit. It's quite surprising when right now, as student you do not have any question. It's quite worrying. Okay, it's quite worrying when you do not have any question. Soalan tak ada. Because I was asking myself, how can you learn something without asking question? It's not that if you ask me question then you get extra marks. No, you don't get extra marks. You not able to impress me at all. Okay, I'm not a person who easily impressed. It's not that you're going to be straight away you got A by asking question, but by asking question you able to dig a little bit deeper. Without asking question, how do you learn? I'm not sure how do you learn without asking question. Have you come across by this name, this person by the name of Plato? Who is Plato? Plato is someone who Plato is a person, is a philosopher in the Greek era. Masa zaman-zaman Greek tu kan, awak tengok 300 the rise of empire atau zaman-zaman Greek zaman tu. There's a guy or there's a philosopher named Plato. He's a great philosopher. And then every day he will conduct a class for his student. He got a lot of students, right? And the way he conduct class, not by giving lectures like this. Dia tak ada themes yang lecturer dia bercakap dalam 3 jam. But he conduct class by asking question. Okay, he's not the one who asking question, but his student will ask him question. And then he will ask question back. And then they will question each and every question. From one question, there will be, it will lead to another question. That question will lead to another question. Macam tadi cerita pasal Star Wars and Avengers, right? That is how a discussion should be. Then you asking question, not to me only, not me asking you question, but you asking question about your friend's opinion. That is how you learn. And it's quite worrying when you do not have question. Okay, usually when people do not have question, it's either they fully understand or they don't understand the subject matter at all. That if the second probabilities is most worrying to me. I'm quite worried if you don't understand the subject matter at all. So you do not have any question. It's not that if you don't ask question, I'm quite okay. Oh, maksudnya my student all understand. It's quite worrying when you do not have question. That is worrying to me. All right. Enough Mabibel for today. So I'll see you next week. But then before you leave, can I remind you to read case study number 2? Okay, the travel agency dilemma.
Okay, sir.
So
okay,
same thing. Next week we're going to discuss about the case study before we go to the next topic. Okay, cool.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So I see you next week.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.